Let's start by talking about pitching. And what's interesting, again, if he can get 6 innings from the starters, terrific. You get to the back end of that bullpen. But can they get a consistent 6, Kenny, out of those starters?
Yeah, it's a very valid question, Bob. And I have to admit, I'm surprised. I thought the Yankees would find a way to work their Jedi magic to find a young starting pitcher. I understand why they haven't. You look at the price that Arizona paid for Shelby Miller, for instance, astronomical. So we look at what we have here. CC Sabathia, shockingly leading the Yankees with innings pitched. Pineda, Evaldi, Tanaka, Warren Nova. Joe Girardi was a very aggressive manager last year, lifting these guys early. I think he's going to have to do that again.
Right, and you look at the world champions, the Royals. Okay, they were last in the American League in innings pitched from their starters. Okay, but the Yankees weren't far behind. The Yankees were in the bottom 10. I think they were 10th out of the 30 teams, 10th from the bottom. So they're going to have to, go with that model again, because I don't know that you can ask these guys to do a whole lot. They've got injury concerns. Severino, very important in the future of the organization. They're going to be bringing him along carefully, and I think that speaks to what they did at the back end of the bullpen. Not that you're going to get multiple innings from those guys, but if you can lock down 7, 8, 9, you can do sort of what the Royals did. I mean, it's an imitation game in the major leagues. We see it all the time, and if it worked for Kansas City with the fewest innings from their starters in the American League, maybe it can work for the Yankees.
We know that's the plan. As Kenny said, we have to see if that plan works. But in that graphic that we just showed, the one guy that I think that looms as a wild card is the guy who pitched under 100 innings last year, and that's Nova. What does he become for you this year? Do you get a guy who's now 2 years removed from Tommy John surgery and can actually be efficient and can be the guy you slide into the rotation, and maybe he does get 15 starts, and he's that swing man out of the bullpen? So I do think they're going to rely so heavily on that bullpen, but you can't tax it to the point where you're not getting any output out of your rotation. You have to get some starters who give you length.
Yeah, they've got to watch innings on guys like Nova. And to me, that becomes a little bit of a trap, too, Kenny, the fact that, let's just get 6. Well, there are going to be times when the bullpen's a little burnt. You're going to have to get maybe 7 or 8 from your starter.
No question about it, Bob. And you look at this rotation. Who is giving the Yankees the 7? Can CC come back with the knee brace? Is that something real, and is it sustainable? Masahiro Tanaka on occasion has given that kind of length. Can Luis Severino keep developing and give that kind of length? But when I look at this Yankees rotation, I see a huge amount of variance. I think it could be quite good. It could be a disaster.
It's interesting because I think it's a nice little subplot. Sabathia didn't want that knee brace. He went through a variety of them, found one he's comfortable with. It's kind of one of those inside parts of the game. A guy who never wanted to use it, found one that he's comfortable with. How does that change him as a pitcher?
Well, I think it improved him a little bit down the stretch, and you also have to think that he's going to be in a better place. We don't know still what he was going through off the field. We can only guess at it and hear little things about it. So, with a combination of the rehab that he's gone through, and it sounds like, things are better. We've seen him out in the community with the Yankees and doing better that way. So hopefully he's in a better place physically, both off the field and with the knee. I think it's, only going to be a positive. Now he's a year older, but we did see some good things from him down the stretch.
Even with the brace, the way that Girardi was managing him, he is not going to be your guy to give you the 7+ consistently. To Kenny's question, and I think it's a great question, I think they're going to rely on Tanaka and Severino. Those are the guys who I would say on any given day can go out there, get you into the 7th inning, get you into the 8th inning. Evaldi has shown he's not really that kind of guy. And with Sabathia, I think Girardi has managed him in a way that if he sees issues, he sees danger, he's pulling CC from the game.
Yeah, Joe Girardi said he's comfortable with the way the bullpen is formulated right now. Some of the middle innings guys beyond those back 3, do they need to go out and get another guy? Do you think they're okay?
Yeah, I do. I would like a little more consistency. I do believe that in Major League Baseball now, and with the nature of relievers, you can find, if you can identify the right kind of bullpen piece, you can get them from your farm system. You can get them pretty cheap. But I'd still want someone who I have maybe a little more of a track record. I do think, though, that what they did last year with the Scranton shuttle is going to help, because those guys got a lot of big league experience. They're not going to be intimidated by the setting or anything like that. They've gotten their feet wet. Now it's just a question of picking a guy who can stick all year and can do some of those multiple inning things to bridge that gap.
If there's one area of this Yankees team, to me, that I give the Yankees the benefit of the doubt, these Cashman, Girardi Yankees, it's that middle relief department. Every year they have come up with guys, whether it's they're one of their own guys, whether it's a waiver pick from somewhere else. Justin Wilson last year, they have consistently been able to target and develop and utilize guys who were not major pieces in the major leagues the prior year.
So you think maybe that's where some of the Jedi magic comes in here the rest of the way, right? Finding those middle pieces.
I look at Pinder and Pazos. Those would be the 2 guys that I'm going to pick out as guys guys who are going to have impacts there. Pinder, we already started to see it last year, and I'm stealing Pazos from David Cohn because David Cohn said to me, I love the way this guy throws. I love where he releases the ball. I love everything about him. This is what we're referring to, what Tyler talked about, that Scranton shuttle. I actually think it's a very smart move. You get yourself fresh arms, but you also get a look at all of these guys. We heard Joe Girardi talk to us about it on this show, that some of the guys he's excited about seeing in spring training are the guys he got a little bit of a look at the major league level last year.
And you could say that about some of the lineup guys, too. And, you know, that Scranton shuttle will be working that way, too, in terms of probably some outfielders, maybe a few infielders. Kenny, as you look at that lineup, the mantra in the offseason, get younger and more athletic. And we see some of that. Starlin Castro, Didi Gregorius, obviously. But there's still a lot of veterans in that lineup right now.
No doubt about it, Bob. You look at 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's the Golden Girls of baseball right there. Those are 4 old guys. There's no getting around it. 4 guys who were very productive in 2015 when healthy. It's just a matter of can they sustain that.
Which one's B. Arthur?
Which one's Estelle Getty in this whole setup there? I don't know. But yeah, you're right. I mean, once Headley, I think, is turned 32 in May, and at that point, you're going to have 7 of those 9 guys are 32 and older, and you can get some good production out of them. I mean, the 09 Yankees had some veteran guys too, so it can be done. I think they've done a good job in building around the margins with a younger base of talent coming up. You know, we see Hicks. He's not in that graphic. He's not going to be the starter necessarily, but he'll get a lot of playing time. You know, and obviously the guys up the middle are both going to be 26 years old. So I think Cashman's done a good job of improving the age kind of where he can, because he's locked in at a lot of places. But shortstop, second base, the last 2 years, he's found some guys you can work with for a few years.
Yeah, bodes well for the future, no doubt.
You can't fight the age, and I don't have as good a line as Kenny does about the Golden Girls. The thing I would say from a Yankee perspective, if you want to go glass half full, is there were a ton of questions about A-Rod and Teixeira last year, and they did produce. McCann was much more comfortable in year 2, and then Beltran for the last 5 months of the season, very productive offensive player. I'm not naive, though. I know you get another year on you. You come back. You might lose a little bat speed. So those 4 guys, the Yankees are going to watch those guys so closely, and we'll see. You got Aaron Judge at AAA. You've got Greg Bird at AAA. Does there ever come a point where they have to reach down to get some infusion from one of those guys?
Yeah, that might happen. And I was a little surprised, too, to hear, because everybody thinks with the acquisition of Castro that Rob Refsnyder's blocked somewhere on the 25-man roster. Joe Girardi making it sound a little like he certainly got a chance to stick.
I, too, was equally surprised, Bob. Yes, I was surprised to hear Joe say that. And the Yankees have been pretty steadfast about we've worked hard to get Refsnyder to second base. We're not going to move him. So it seems like there are some internal questions to resolve there.
Yeah, we've got Ackley, too. Let's not forget him. I mean, he's a versatile piece, and I think he's not going to see the playing time we thought he might have before they got Castro, but you can get some good stuff out of him. He had some moments last year and plays first base, a little outfield. He can be a useful guy, too.